Through the chair, I first want to clarify that the year in question, that is 2024-2025, at the beginning of the year, there was no act regulating sand. But in the midway, Kitui County passed Kitui County River Basins and Sand Utilization and Conservations Act. So initially, for the half part of the year, there was no regulation on how to collect revenue from sand sales. And after implementation, there were formation of committee.
Sorry, officer.
I want to explain.
Yes.
Now, when you go to note number 10,
order.
Yeah.
So you're saying for half the year, you never collected anything on sand?
We were collecting, but it was not regularized. It was so difficult to collect.
So where was the money collected going to?
It was going to revenue accounts. Now, that's why I'm saying note number 10.
Order. So that's what we are seeing in note number 10?
Yeah, number 10, transportation fees.
Okay.
Yes.
Proceed.
Now, after it was implemented, there was the issue of formation of cooperatives, sand groups. So I was explaining that the sales we collect from sand sales is in note number 10 under transportation fees.
Yeah, go ahead and help us understand the average number of trucks that are paying cess, because you have brought it to transportation charges.
It depends with the period. Most of the times it is between maybe 10 to 20.
The rate?
But I'm not sure.
Where is the rate set? Is it in the Finance Act?
It is in the Finance Act.
So on average, the SACCOs are paying how much per truck?
The registration fee is 10,000 per truck, registration fees.
For what duration?
1 year.
For 1 year?
Yes.
So they pay, once you are paid the 10,000, there's no other amount of money you pay throughout the year?
Yeah, no other amount you pay throughout the year, only says. Only says at the barrier point.
Yes, that's a cess we are interested in, because you are describing something different. You are describing transportation charges levied at 10,000 per truck. We are talking about the revenue coming from the sand that has been harvested, a natural resource in Kitui.
Registration has not yet started. It's being done this financial year. During the year 24-25, there was no registration going on. They started in this financial year.
So what are you telling us? That your financial statements do not fairly represent the state of affairs when it comes to collection of cess?
We were collecting cess then. There were no registration because we did not have SACCOs in place.
What are you saying? Do we take these numbers as authoritative, or you are putting a disclaimer that there were significant challenges? You have said half the year you are not collecting. You are saying registration is not complete. You are saying it has started this financial year. What is the conclusion as to the numbers that are here?
And the conclusion is that now we are collecting revenue from sand because we have the...
Not now. The numbers that are here, these are the numbers for 24-25. What is the conclusion on these numbers?
About revenue from sand sales?
Yes.
It is 12 million.
So in your assessment, it is a true and fair representation of revenue coming from that stream?
Yes.
Okay, honorable members, if it's true and fair, it is for us to test whether 5 trucks a day make sense, or whether there's need for further investigation.
So, Chair, allow me to engage with the lady. So I will go with the numbers that she has given us. So you have told us, madam, that on average, you have between 10 and 20 trucks ferrying sand from Kitui. That's you're saying that on record and under the governor's oath. Is that on record and under the governor's oath? I mean, give her the mic. Give her the mic. So you're telling the people of Kitui that you only do like between 10 and 20 trucks ferrying sand from their rivers each day. Is that on record?
Mr. Senator, I've said it depends on the days. There are some days when there are few lorries because of the rain, but on average it's between 10 and 20.
A day?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take that. So let's assume that it's 20. Yeah, let's go with the average. It's 20 trucks per day. So if each truck is paying cess of 5,000 every day, yeah? You're going with the number, the figure that you have given us, right? So per day, that will be how much? Somebody help us with the calculation.
So you're saying?
Saying every day it's 20, it's only 20 trucks according to her, and they are paying 5,000 shillings assess. So it's 100,000, right?
100,000.
100,000.
So 100,000, multiply that by 365. How much is that?
36.5 million.
Madam, do you want to revise your answer or you want to stick to it?
And in fact, Wambua, to make your answer better, what I've done is I've said 20 times 5,000 times 20 days. I've given them 10 days off. Let's imagine that nothing happens, is on a Sunday, they're in charge, and times 12, it comes to 24 million.
Madam, I'm still engaging with you.
Yes, through the chair. That's why I started by explaining that there was no act regulating sand during this financial year.
Okay.
That's where the rate is not.
So you're not collecting?
Selling.
You are not collecting?
We are not what?
You are not collecting before that time, right?
We were collecting, but it was so challenging.
What do you mean?
Can you explain to us what special thing the Act introduced to make it easy to collect cess? Because all I see counties doing is tying a rope across and putting spikes on the road. What special thing did the Act introduce?
There was a legal way approved by the Assembly for sand collection.
Yeah, so what is it in terms of the physical collection of the cess? What provision of that Act brought about this efficiency that you are saying was not there before the Act? Did it introduce electronic collection? What special thing came through that Act?
Through the chair, there was also electronic collection, but still, we are able to know the number of people who transport sand, and through that law, they comply.
Chair, let me just paint this picture so that everybody is
Okay.
on the same
Maybe
page.
give us a background, and then
Yes.
we can also get.
Yeah, let
some
me paint this
perspective.
picture,
Yes, please.
and the governor can correct me if I'm wrong. In Kitui County, and madam, you need to listen to this because there will be questions coming through. In Kitui County, on an average day, there is no day that there will be less than 100 trucks ferrying sand from our rivers. No single day. And you know, you are the CEO talking about Kanda and a small one. You know, I understand where it's coming from. There's a word we have for it in Kitui. We call it kasau. You know, kasau is a small animal. You know, a cow. So it's a truck, and then it has another container, the same size with the truck at the back, and they are trailers.
Yes,
They are not canters, they are trailers.
Yes.
They're semi-trailers. So 100 of them at the minimum every day. Now, Chair, and I want the lady to tell us whether she is part of this cartel, because now we are getting deep into this matter.
Correct.
Every day, each of those trucks, when they carry sand from Kitui, they pay 6,000 Kenya shillings to a cartel. That 6,000 shillings, they are given a receipt of 1,000 Kenya shillings.
So 5,000.
Now that happens at a place called Sia for the trucks ferrying sand the side of Mwini. Now, from here, there is another checkpoint at Kanyonyo where county government officials are based. And when the trucker arrives at the base, they show the receipt of 1,000, just demonstrate the receipt of 1,000, and they're allowed to proceed. They don't pay any cess. to the county government of Kitui. So the bitterness, the chairman, with the people of Kitui that I carry on my shoulders is that we are building all the cities in this country, beginning with this one.
Correct.
I actually want to believe that more than 70% of the sand that was used to build this building came from Kitui County. So we are building cities with our sand. We are not getting a single cent as a county from that sand. And most worrying is that we are turning rivers, and I say the governor can correct me if I'm wrong, we are turning our county into a desert with every truck that ferries that sand. Because what they do is, they come to the river, they scoop all the sand, all of it, until they get to the base of the river. It's bare soil, actually soil and rocks. And they move to the next river. As we speak today, Kitui has been classified as one of the drought areas. When the rains disappeared in December, by now, if we still add the sand in our rivers, our mother will still be fetching water from our rivers. Now, they can't. There is no sand, there is nothing. That is the picture, Chairman, that we have to deal with.
No.
And I say if I'm wrong, the governor can correct me.
I think let's bring it back to the conversation we are having here. We have numbers in front of us, but we also cannot run away from other things where we take judicial notice. In fact, Senator Wambua, you brought another dimension that Kitui is facing drought. And that's a serious humanitarian crisis that we must find a way of tying these numbers to the response that the governor is making to help the lives of the people of Kitui. So let's come back to the numbers, and it's a very sorry state you have painted. Of course, Governor, we must give you a right of reply to put the record straight. So I don't know whether we want the governor to reply or we
Chair,
first
maybe I
put
can
in
make
some
an
questions.
observation.
Senator Cherargei.
So in this 15.6 million on transport charges, these are how many trucks and tonnage, because they are saying it's based on tonnage. And one chair. Chair, there is somebody who lives at Mulolongo and just informed me that he sees more than 100 trucks per day, mostly from Kitui. Chair, I want to believe this is a well-organized criminal enterprise of cartels.
Sure, I'm just wondering
like,
how does a truck that is coming from Kitui look like? I mean,
of course, I've told you 70%.
That's what I want you to help me out. How does a truck from Kitui look different from one from
I have
Machakos?
not finished here. I'm talking with somebody who works in the wage break of Mulolongo.
Okay.
And they can track because they normally tell them.
We have agencies that can establish
Yes, that is the point at
that.
Mulolongo. He says more than 100 come from Kitui. So, Chair, when you tell me it is only 15.6 million transport charges, it doesn't make sense. So, Chair, I think in all this issue of sand, this is a well-organized criminal enterprise that looks like narcos. Thank you, Chair. Yield back.
Senator,
Because he has mentioned,
the
the weighbridge, Chair, I would want to request you to compel, because we have a weighbridge. So that these are not stories, we have a weighbridge at Kanyonyo. And I say it on record. They can challenge me.
Yes.
I believe some of the operators there are part of this cartel. I've been there more than 10 times. I've written letters to them to give me the list of trucks, so that we also answer Sifuna's question. The list of trucks that are coming from Kitui ferrying sand and the tonnage of those trucks. They have completely refused to divulge that information.
Senator Lelegwe.
Governor, you have budgeted 50 million for that particular financial year in your budget for sales. But at the end of the year, you're reporting 19% of what you targeted. Why did you budget for 50 million? And the reasons why you're saying you did not achieve your target is because you did not have Kitui County Sand Harvesting Management Act. Why did you budget 50 million where you knew very well that you did not have the act in place? Because from your responses, you've just said you did not achieve that target because you did not have the act. So why did you budget? And just to note, Chair, says as a single source of revenue is the poorest performing in your county?
So I think we need to give the governor an opportunity to respond and broad issues, but what's coming out is there's a feeling from the members of the committee that there could be a cartel in Kitui County that is either collecting cess and not reporting or not collecting cess at all, thereby denying the people of Kitui the revenue that would have been in your hands to enable you to respond to the drought situation in Kitui. Because you have an unprecedented situation where animals are dying, lives are at risk, children, perhaps their education is threatened, and you need resources to respond. And this collection of cells could be one of those areas, low-hanging fruits, which, if optimized, could put resources in your hands. So, Governor, could you let us know whether the cartelism that has been alluded to is a reality and whether you need any help to crack it?
Mr. Chairman, I was elected to office in August 2022. As I was seeking votes from the people of Kitui, one of the things they were telling me to address when they elect me, and they seem to be so sure they will elect me, is the menace of haphazard sand harvesting from the rivers. So this issue is not yesterday's issue, it was there. And when we came in, together with the MCAs, we said, this is an issue where dealing with it is not easy. If you recall, Mr. Chairman, because you are still Senator here and some of the members here were still here, my predecessor, the governor of Kitui, she tried to deal with this issue, even in some cases at trying to arrest lorries, and she was not successful. Because the responsibility of enforcing who is transporting anything on our highways belongs to the police, and the police is not under the county government. So that's when we resolved to come up with a law which can be enforced by a county court which we have established and which is provided for in the law Senator Sifuna was talking about. We have created a mechanism for enforcement. We have created, through that law, a mechanism for monitoring the sand harvesting and making sure as sand is being harvested, conservation takes place. And what we have done is, going forward, after the cooperatives which are supposed to manage sand harvesting in river basins, and we have 5 of them, they establish sand aggregation points where people who want sand from Nairobi or other places, they will get the sand from the aggregation points. And smaller operators who are Kitui-based, probably they can go with smaller lorries, not the big ones, and bring the sand at the aggregation point where it is collected together. And that way, the county will be able to have a structured way of assessing who is coming for sand, how much is collected, and be able to charge and to receipt it. At the moment, there is previously, there is what Senator Keio talked about, where you have groups, CBOs, which were there before, and they will charge 6,000. They collect themselves. It's not collected by the county government, but I would like the Receiver of Revenue and the Chief of the Finance and even Director of Revenue to confirm whether they themselves are the ones who collect the 6,000 which has been mentioned. And who gives the 1,000 receipts and so forth and so on. So that is the environment which we are trying to reorganize and ensure there is a proper order with respect to sand collection and the revenue arising from the same, and conservation at the same time. What we have established, the county government of Kitui is not the one which collects the 6,000 or any employee of ours. It is CBOs which existed before 2022 and before we put this act together and enacted it. And I think that's the situation. We are trying to bring order where there was a lot of disorder, and we realize unless we have a law which can regulate the space, there will still continue being confusion. Previously, those CBOs used to pay a lump sum for scooping sand in Kitui County for a period, for a year. And that amount was a year variously 300,000 or some such figures. But now you can see order is coming into it, but it will take time. It cannot happen overnight. Going to what Senator Lelwenge was asking, why do we put in our budget 50 million while we ended up collecting much less? We did that because we hoped through implementation of the law which we enacted and creating order in the way even the revenue is collected, we'll be able to generate a lot more revenue. Obviously, we did not because, for example, the court I'm talking about, we constructed it. It was to be operationalized. It has not been operationalized yet, but we hope it will be in the near future. And sooner than later, even people who get sand there and don't pay, they will start paying.
Yeah.
Senator Maruma.
The Director Revenue talked about cooperatives, formation of cooperatives. Governor, you're referring to CBOs. So who is managing the sand? Is it the cooperatives or the CBOs? Number one, if it is cooperatives or CBOs, they will aggregate sand and sell that sand to the buyers. Of course, they'll make a living from there. Then there would be the transporters who would be paid, who would pay cess to the county government. Not so? So are you comfortable with the 5 trucks per day? That would be my question, because then we are told over a story of 100 trucks per day. But from the calculations, we are talking about, or we are seeing it's like 5 trucks in a day. That's what I would just want clarification. Is it CBOs or is it cooperatives which are aggregating the sand? And then when it is aggregated, then it is sold. And the county is getting money or revenue from the cess, isn't it? Whether it is from the CBO or from the cooperatives, but the transporters must pay cess. Are you comfortable with the 5 trucks?
Governor? And I think, Governor, just a disclaimer. I think from the chair and the members of my committee, we have a lot of respect for you by virtue of your professional background and qualifications. Even though in the last few minutes, you have focused on describing the problem rather than the solution. So we hope you'll, as you answer Senator Maruma, you'll also focus more on the solution because you described the problem very well.
And as he answers, Chair, how is that revenue paid, the cess? Is it automated? So much so that if the trucks are paying between 10,000 and 2,000, depending on the truck, then you can see, if it is automated, a statement of that payment, which you can track.
Governor?
The cess And the charges which are paid to the county are automated. So they are not collected by an individual in cash. But let me go back to what Senator asked about CBO and cooperatives. Previously, it was CBOs. That space was dominated by CBOs made up of people who scoop sand. And there didn't seem to be any order at all. But when we came in and enacted the Kitui County River Basin Sand Utilization and Conservation Act 2024, we came up with cooperatives for each of the 5 river basins. And it is the cooperatives now who will be responsible for really identify points where sand can be scooped. And if sand is scooped to a point where it is affecting the river basin environment, they are the ones who are supposed, working together with our ministry responsible for the environment, to ensure that it's stopped. So that's one thing, because the act itself is not so much about collecting revenue, but it's about conservation. Because as people of Kitui, we don't want really a lot of sand harvesting, because it's going to affect our environment, but we want to conserve. But you can't stop sand harvesting. It has never been stopped by any country in the world. So it is the cooperatives now who are responsible. They are the ones who work with the sand groups of various areas, who designate certain areas within the sand, the river basin, where there will be sand aggregation points. And we will try to minimize or do away with the cooperatives which used to exist before, and where there was no order at all in the way they were doing things.
Now, honorable members, we need to find some closure and give recommendations. Senator Wambua?
Yes, Chair, thank you. So only 2 things. One, are the CBOs still collecting the money from the trucks, the 6,000? And secondly, whose responsibility will it be to restore the riverbed that have been destroyed by the sand harvesting? And lastly, this is a comment, because I've heard the governor say we cannot stop sand harvesting. Actually, that could be true. We can stop the destruction of our rivers, but we can ensure that sand harvesting goes on, but we do harvesting. You know, we don't do what we are doing now. And when those are cartels, and those cartels are known to a lot of us, when they hear you, governor, saying we cannot stop them, they start celebrating. Yeah, even the governor admitted they cannot stop us. You know, the basis of this conversation, Chair, I like making full disclosures on everything that I talk about, is I met one of those cartels at a public function. And in my presence, he said some very annoying things. That me, I do very bad business and nobody can stop me. You know these things. Oh, but that's beside here. So let's just know whether they are still paying to the CBOs, and then who will take responsibility for the restoration of our riverbeds.
Fine. Senator Chirake, then get the governor.
Maybe, Chair, during our visit to the eastern part, we should visit even the weighbridge at Kanyonyo and here Mulolongo, so that we get the facts. Because I can tell you, Chair, even in this traffic, you can spot 2-3 rollies with sand, because brick and mortar. Governor, the Chair asked you about cartelism. Are you aware of cartels? Are you part of it? Do you know them? Can you point us where they are? I have not heard you deny. These sand cartels looks to be very powerful in Kitui. Are we part of them? Thank you, Chair. Yield back.
Governor, maybe you can make your response brief.
Very quickly, first, the CBOs have not been phased out completely because the cooperatives which came with the law, and the law was enacted we enacted last year, it will take time before it kicks on fully. So they are still, particularly in some places, particularly in those Mwingi areas you talked about, Kiromboko area, and we hear they are there. Talking about who restores the river basins, it's now the responsibility of the cooperatives. Because as I said, this law, which we are referring to as Kitui County River Basins Sand Utilization and Conservation Act, is supposed to ensure conservation, and the responsibility for overseeing how the sand is harvested within a river basin is granted by the law to the cooperatives. And therefore, they are the ones who will monitor the places where the sand is being harvested from. If it reaches a certain level, they close the place and they ensure restoration, including planting trees and including stopping people from collecting sand from there. The issue about cartels, do cartels exist? I won't deny that there are cartels. First of all, depending how we define a cartel in this particular instance. But if cartel means people who are doing business which is not regulated and who make sure there is no law and order. Previously, yes, they are cartels, but I can tell you they are on the run. Those who used to do business in Kitui because of the new law, and slowly and surely even enforcement and mechanisms you are putting in place. As I said, we have an enforcement unit which will be working in that space and officers. We've posted some, but we will increase the number. And we have a court, a county court, which we have already constructed after discussing the same with the judiciary. And we hope it will be operationalized and the judiciary officers posted there. And if it's a lorry which is not properly licensed or is carrying sand from a river basin, then it can be arrested by the enforcement officers together with the national police and then charged in that particular court. And we think in the near term, I will not say short term, and I don't want to say long term. In the near term, we want to bring order in that space.
Okay. Finally, Vice Chair.
I know the cartels would be there. Normally they are there, but they work at night. And these things are known only that people don't want to nab them. But they work at night, they carry their sand at night, and they don't pay. It's there everywhere, even in Tetavet, it happens. Why? Because the people who are supposed to collect cess and the enforcement people just go home and leave this people to work.
A point of information to Senator Maroma. The ones in Kitui are very bold. They do it day and night.
Day and night.
They do it day and night. And so, Chair, because I have the mic, let me just say this in conclusion. And Governor, I hear what you've said about the restoration of the riverbeds by the cooperatives. I have a suggestion as a resident of Kitui and a person that has suffered this. Why not think about, because now you are rolling out the new law, why not think about every truck that will be registered to do sand business in Kitui, you attach a fee to the registration for the restoration of the already destroyed riverbeds, because if you have then cooperatives in places like Kiromboko, Enzio, Moania, Tiva, Evekeve, and maybe Kevo, those beds are already destroyed. So the cooperatives are coming to operate on a riverbed that's already destroyed. So expecting them to raise funds from wherever to restore the riverbeds, we'll be expecting too much from the cooperatives. Why not use the law that exists now to make sure that every truck that is registered, there is a fee for restoration of riverbeds? I think.
Chair, 30 seconds.
Please, 30 seconds.
Chair, on these sand cartels, I was expecting the governor to deny, but it looks like sand cartels in Kitui are part of that DNA of that region. But my only concern is, Governor, you have not shown in a way that you are partnered with the maybe national government through the county security team to assist you in surveillance and also county enforcement officers to ensure these lorries that they call so cartels that transport sand, which is worth millions and billions of shillings that should have gone to development in Kitui. Is there a way you are partnering with the county security team to ensure that these people are arrested? The chair, the reason I'm passionate with Kitui is I'm in law in Kitui. And I don't want my nephews and uncles to suffer in Kitui because of poor development. So can he give us a global on how to address this problem once and for all?
Now, I think what we need to, and very good points and suggestions coming from senators, but we differentiate between issues of law and order, issues of policy, and issues of financial accountability. We are here primarily on issues of financial accountability. And the reason why we have had this conversation for the last 1 hour is that the revenues reported as cess by Kitui County government, they appear understated. 2 years ago, Kitui only reported 9.066 million as cess. 1 year ago, it grew to 15.5 million. And then last year, it dropped to 11.8 million. We have given you an opportunity to try to explain why that seesaw movement, but you have given us all the excuses in the world. It's very difficult to pin down the real cause of that oscillation on cess. It is the view and the position of this committee that revenues on cess needs thorough investigation, thorough inquiry, because even if you are to take what you have reported as proceeds from quarrying, 4.1 million, and add it to transport charges, 15.6 million, that is 19.7 million in a year, an average of 54,000 per day. The people of Kitui, which is one of the biggest counties, 30,000 kilometers square, is it logical, is it realistic and reasonable that the county government of Kitui would collect only 54,000 shillings per day, considering all the traffic that is seen? These must be tested. And Governor, we might be calling for a special audit or a forensic audit or even the EACC to look into this so that we have the assurance that the cartels, even if they are there, the county government and its officers are not part of the cartels. The county government and its officers are not the ones who are aiding the cartels. We say this with a lot of pain because your people are suffering drought. And they cannot be suffering drought, and the money that is supposed to help them is going into the pockets of cartels. We live in this country. We know where sand comes from if you're doing a project in Nairobi. And we feel like this particular revenue stream is underreported, under-optimized, and we must do everything possible for the money to go into the pockets of the public rather than the money going into the pockets of a few. 54,000 a day, 5 trucks a day, clearly does not make sense. So, honorable members, we might want to make a recommendation on a special audit or a forensic audit or just direct investigation so that we can get to the bottom of this matter.
Chair, as the area senator, I would recommend, because the EACC had initially gotten wind of this, they had already started working on it. I don't know why they chickened out. I would rather just ask the EACC to follow up on this matter.
Okay, fine. So, members, this was quite important for us to address. And I think on the other issues on receipt of revenue, we can consider the written responses, but we'll make very bold, very aggressive recommendations on the matter of cess. We must deliver justice to the people of Kitui. With that, we can go back to the report on the county executive. and deal with a few issues that are in there. Auditor General, on the executive statement.
Maybe, sorry for just a small matter. You
Senator
didn't
Kiraki?
allow this waiver. It's a lot. It's almost 87.1 million. Maybe a governor can make a comment on it. And I've seen the financial statement. Sorry for taking the committee back. I have seen he has tried to give Appendix 4, a report of waivers and variation, but there is no totality of this. So why this 87.1 million on waivers and especially on penalties? This is too huge. Maybe you can make a comment on that.
Okay, and maybe Governor, from again from your technicians, the revenue reported under annual business permit fees, is it cash or accrued? Because it's 90 million, it's quite huge. Well, what was the technical basis? There's the gentleman who had made that clarity, so that we're clear in our minds. You reported 90 million as annual business permit fees. Just clarify whether that was cash or an accrued revenue.
Chair, it's cash.
It's cash.
Yes.
So it's actual money in the pocket.
Yes, yes.
Fine. Just address the question on waivers very quickly, as asked by Senator Cherarke.
Yes, last year, Chair, the county announced that they can give a waiver, particularly to landowners, property owners, who are very much behind with the payment of interest relating to the rates of their properties. And I will ask the Minister for Finance maybe to talk to that, Minister.
Please be very, very precise.
Honorable Chair, yes, we conducted a waiver exercise during the year in reference. And mainly, Chair, our biggest problem is that there is a lot of problem in Kitui with the duplication of plots. And our main target actually was not really to waive, but to get the real owners of the plots and identify where they are. Initially, we had conducted a business mapping. And one of the areas where we got a lot of problem is to identify the owners of especially the plots and the ones which are within the municipalities. But I want to really tell this committee that even having waived this amount, although we got very important data for use, which we're using right now and in future, we also, Honorable Chair, increased the collection of rates by 100%, because initially we were collecting around 11 million, and we were able to collect in the tune of 23 million. Thank you. Your
okay, honourable members, I didn't want us to generate further debate on ROR.
That's your indulgence.
Okay.
He's saying they collected 23 million and waived 87 million.
Senior Counsel Okongo Morgan.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chair, I'm sorry, but I'm just wondering, Governor, I've looked at the advert you placed in the newspaper for waiver. Why was it necessary for you to put your photo there, that you are giving waiver? I thought this was the county government of Kitui. I've looked at the advert. You see, your picture is there, and it's saying that the county government of Kitui. But the picture there is yourself. Did this increase the money you pay to the newspaper to give waiver? Why can't you just put an advert and tell people you are waiving? Why must you advertise yourself in this waiver?
What was the date? What was the date of that notice, Senator?
The notice is there, but what is so prominent is the picture of the governor.
Does it have a date? Maybe it was Father Christmas.
Chair, I personally...
And it seems you are still manual. You are telling people that for you to get waiver, come all the way to our offices.
Yeah.
So who did this?
I think that was done by finance.
Who is that in
Personally,
finance?
I don't like putting my pictures on anything.
I'm surprised.
Even where we have projects, I don't put my pictures. But I think they were trying to copy what has been happening in virtually all county governments
But
of
you
Kenya.
you can't benchmark with bad
No,
habits.
I'm saying they, not me. Because as I said, as a person, I don't like advertising myself
You know, the
this way.
newspapers will charge you for this. The people of Kitui, the money we gave you was costed here. This space was charged by the newspaper.
But I saw the advert, and I think you are correct.
Did you reprimand?
He's talking about the county government of Kitui announcing that waiver, not the governor.
Yeah, but the photo
Yeah,
is...
but maybe, I don't know why it is done, but it is done by many counties, I'm sure. And maybe they may.
But you can direct them not to repeat. I mean...
Yeah, I don't need it.
Thank you.
Senator Sifuna,
has no value.
Chair started by saying to you, Governor, that a lot of people in this room and me outside this room respect you. So we don't expect to see things like this. So if it was my friend, the CEC for Finance who did this, you need to reprimand him. That next time, you don't want to see your photos everywhere. I know where that tradition is coming from. We used to have a governor in Kitui whose name I'll not divulge, where everything they did, even toilets, you know, their names are all over and their photos. You know, it doesn't help anyone.
Chair, Senator Sifuna.
Chair, we will wait until Wambua is governor of Kitui. We see what he will do. But in defense of the governor of Kitui, in your defense, you know, if you look at the prominence of the photo here, it's not anywhere near what we have seen other county governors doing. I am telling you, we see billboards here in Nairobi, and you can see the face of the governor 100 kilometers away. And then when you reach there, you're wondering what is going on. Has he died or something? Then you see there. At the bottom is where you see that there is a waiver of land rates. I will not mention names, but we have seen things here. And we have, as a Senate, I remember we actually had a debate on this matter. I think there was a bill.
No, there was a motion. I think there was a motion that was brought to the House. Yeah.
Because every single thing, if you drive around Nairobi, you will see a road project, the MCA, the Member of Parliament for the National Assembly. This conversation needs to get to all Kenyans, that all these resources are public money. It is not your money. So when I see people putting their faces, including live coverage of Nyota projects, and the others claiming that this is the president giving the young people money, that money is our money. He should remove his face from there.
On a point of order, that one should be expunged from the record.
No, why?
Should it be expunged?
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Chair, if we want to discuss...
Order members.
But again, you are clapping when the Senator was talking about governors.
No.
Clap harder when you talk about Nyota.
Chair, to be fair,
I think the billboards.
Can I finish my?
You should invite PS Mangeni
Chair,
and ask
can I
the
finish
questions
my
today. We are doing
point?
Kitui.
Can I finish
Chair,
my
it's good
point?
to be fair.
Okay, let's allow
There is-
Senator Sifuna to finish.
There is a larger conversation about public resources and personification of projects and all these things. We have just started by saying when the county government of Kitui gives a waiver, it is not the governor giving a waiver, and his photo has no business being on the advertisement. So even these plaques, whether you have built houses in Mukuru, whether it is an airport you're doing in Narok or Nyota, remove your faces from there. That is not your money. This is public money.
Chair,
Because it is used to deceive Kenyans as if no other person can do this.
This is the thing Sifuna can say later in Citizen TV.
I mean, this
Now, order members. Order members. Order.
Conversation outside this room. Go and do it in TV, not here.
Order, Senator Chirake.
Kitui.
Chair,
I think every member has a right to express their opinions,
But
and
Chair, let us
if we disagree, I will also give you an opportunity to express your divergent opinion. And
But
I think
ourselves to the audit queries.
I think I like it this way. We cannot be a committee that thinks alike. So let's proceed.
Yeah, with your kind permission. You know now, I am getting to a place where I also need the protection of the chair. Because when we are having serious conversations about our country, you cannot tell me to take them to TV. I am not here for a show. I will do the show in the night. But I am saying this is a conversation that has emerged out of the audit query.
So I think
Can I also be asked?
for us the issue of TV. The issue of TV must be expunged from the records because it refers to it refers to extraneous matters that are not before the committee. In the interest of time and considering that we still have another county executive waiting outside, I will steer this debate back to the report on the county executive.
Being disrespectful.
Order, Senator Cherargei.
No.
Let us go to the report. Let us go to the report on the county executive.
Yeah, can I make a comment? I request, I beg of you also, as members and is this committee, you are chairing it very well, to restrict ourselves to the audit queries and the entity on the floor.
Let's do so. Let's do so.
Leadership, we can do it.
Auditor General.
Chair, I differ with that. You cannot straitjacket us into a conversation. I mean, you can make cross references. If you say we just stick to this, then we'll have nothing.
This is your nyota.
When you make references, Chair, when you make references, you should be ready also for answers. Why would you make a comment and not be checked?
Fine. So the points have been made. Auditor General, we are back on the report on the county executive. We take note, Governor, and we take note that your county is facing severe strain, climate-related, drought, and related emergencies. In this report on the county executive, before we get into the specifics, could you let us know, have you established your county emergency fund?
Yes, Chair.
How much did you transfer to the emergency fund in this financial year?
I think 20 million.
Could you demonstrate in your financial statement, because it should be captured under transfers? Because you see, it's one thing talking about procurement issues, but if you are leading people who are hungry, they would like to find out what the Senate said about their plight. So, can we see evidence in the financial statements that there's money that has been set aside and transferred to the emergency fund?
I think if we look at the budget, because I can see my team is fidgety.
The budget and actual expenditure are different, so we just want to see the transfer that was made to the emergency fund so that the people of Kitui get that guarantee that, yes, the governor is thinking about them, he has ring-fenced some money that can be seed capital for, response to the drought. We are back on the report of the executive, but I was just making a global observation because, it sounds very theoretical to talk about accounting standards when we are talking on behalf of people who are starving. So I'm just asking the governor to demonstrate to us whether the emergency fund has been established and the transfers that have been made to that fund.
What I can confirm, and I know, is in our budget we set aside 20 million on whether we can now produce the transfer instruments and the accounts of the fund. I must admit, Chairperson, I don't think we can do that now.
So your technicians cannot demonstrate whether that 20 million was transferred to the emergency fund? Because you see, we are looking at all the money received as a county. Some went to the assembly, some went to scholarship, some should have gone to funds, some went into, county corporations. Because as a Senate, there's a law that we passed that a certain percentage of your total revenue, is it 2% or 2.5%? 2% should be ring-fenced in an emergency fund. You have a situation in your county, unless the newspapers are misreporting the drought situation in Kitui. But I read about it even this morning in the Standard. It talks about the drought situation in Kitui. That money in the emergency fund is your starting point for emergency response, because it will be difficult for you to go back every week to the assembly to get a budget line to deal with cows that are dying, to deal with people who are getting displaced by hunger. Are you able to demonstrate that you have established an emergency fund, Governor?
I'm saying what I can vouch for. In the budget, we set aside 20 million for the emergency fund. Whether the actual transfers have been effected, allow me, Chair, to check on that one so that I don't say something.
So as it is now, you are confronted with a situation. What are you doing as a county government, and where are you getting the money to respond? Or are you just saying Serikali's idea?
Honorable Chair, we can show that we have established the fund because the account is there. But as you know, we receive these allocations, and when we receive the allocation, depending on the matters which are on the critical path. For example, now you have mentioned this one. We have now to put money into that account as the allocation continue coming. So we don't have a situation whereby the entire 20 million is taken at once and it's put in that account.
See, you are familiar with these financial statements?
Yeah.
Go to note 13 on other grants and subsidies. Because the governor says you have an emergency fund. And for you to have an emergency fund, it needs to be funded. For it to be a fund, it needs to be funded, isn't it? Now you have a situation that requires response from an emergency fund. Are we going to watch the citizens of Kitui die because you have decided to do other things and not respond to emergency? There is a line there on emergency relief and refugee assistance. Ideally, that's a line where you demonstrate how much you have put aside to deal with emergencies. And it is blank, it is zero. Note number 13, other grants and subsidies. Yeah. So there is zero on emergency relief and refugee assistance. What are we telling the people of Kitui who are facing drought? Are they on their own? 26. Because you see, it's when you come here, we just should not talk about the theory and the accounting standards, but put into context what the citizens are facing. Yes, Governor?
Mr. Chair, as I said, I can't at this point in time produce any documentation to show the money is in the fund. But what I can vouch for, because I'm the chair of the County Executive Committee, where the budget passes before it goes to the County Assembly, and who signs the appropriation bill, the money, 20 million, is there, and it can be used to address any emergencies and to deal with the relief issues, even as it is, because it has been appropriated as such by the County Assembly.
Chair.
Senator Mbua, then Senator Cherargei.
So then, Chair, I would then request the Governor to confirm that even in the situation that we find ourselves in, then that money, that fund has not been utilized to respond to any emergency. Has it been utilized?
Yeah, it has. You know, emergencies is not just lack of food. We have emergencies where people have accidents. We have emergencies where people are attacked by people from across the border. and we have responded to those emergencies. We have emergencies when there was a lot of rain where people were affected. We do respond.
Then in that case, Chair, there should be no difficulty then in responding to your question. It means it seems that the fund is up and running. Then there is money in the fund. You are already responding to emergencies.
You see, Senator Mbua, if the law requires 2% of total revenues to be set aside, 2% of 11 billion would be 220 million. And what they've set aside is 20 million. So I think I wanted us also to have that background.
Chair, maybe in line with that, apart, the law demands that 2% should go to emergency. Is there a legal framework on the emergency preparedness in Kitui? Number two, I have seen you have given subsidies to public entities of 49,361,584, yet you have allocated zero to emergency relief and refuge attendance. My question, Governor, who are these public entities that you have given them 49.3 million? Number two, does it mean the drought situation at the moment in Kitui County has not escalated to the situation then and now that it needed attention of allocation of resources to address the matter? Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Chair, the 49 million is a subsidy given to our water companies, the two water companies. And when they provide water, they also address into emergency issues. So the money is usually to help them with electricity bills, to pump the water from Masinga to Kitui, all the way to Kitui, a distance of about 65 kilometers, and the other one from Kiampere to Mwingi, almost 80 kilometers. So that's a subsidy. And there is a correlation between drought situations and addressing them by having the water companies taking water bowsers in areas and the people get access to that water.
Auditor General, did you see an emergency fund established in Kitui?
Chair, not yet.
I would have expected that that would be a very substantive audit finding. In fact, the other conversation you have had on CES, I would have expected the Auditor General to raise it as well. But on this particular one, this ought to have, because it sticks out, we know that Kitui is a county that is at risk. And when you set aside 20 million, as compared to the minimum 220 million that is required by law, I mean, it's insensitive. And so, Senator, I think Cherargei has asked, does it mean that the situation has not escalated to a point where it is an emergency? I think let's talk to the reality on the ground.
Senator, when it comes to emergencies, our county governments, including our own, they respond to them. We have the National Drought Management Authority, which is based in every county, and the county government is a member. And various partners contribute to the kitty to respond to any emergencies, and there are many of them. And they meet almost every month. The governor is supposed to be the chair, and occasionally the deputy governor also attends. So we have a framework which works, which deals with emergencies, and it has worked in the past, and it can also work now. The percentage you are talking about, 2%, setting aside 220 million every year. I must admit the amount we have set aside is not there, it's 10% of that. And going forward, we may have to look how we can boost the fund, but I want to be very honest. Having worked in county government before and now, it may be very difficult to set aside for any county But since you've been here, maybe you can indicate to us which counties have done that. We can learn from them. To set, for any county to set aside such a colossal amount of money and put it in that particular fund, waiting for.
Governor, you see the advantage is that you've been in public service for a while, and you know where the law says shall, it is not a suggestion. It is not something subject to negotiation. It is mandatory. It is couched in mandatory terms. And I want to encourage the members of the county assembly present, because these budgets, they go through you, that you must also insist that budgets are balanced in the manner required by law. Because there is no way you would then pass a budget without the 2% allocation to the emergency fund. And the good thing about the emergency fund is that it will have a fund administrator, it will have its own financial statements, it will give you the flexibility to make a donation or a contribution to the committee that you're referring to, the County Disaster Committee. Without that, then you cannot pledge anything. I heard governors yesterday pledging waivers and all sorts of things, roadside declarations, things that are completely unacceptable. So I think we expect the Auditor General to follow up this matter. But as things stand, the law has not been complied with, which also indicates that we are not very sensitive to the drought situation on the ground. Maybe sitting in Nairobi, I might have the wrong impression.
Chair,
I'm not interrupting you, but I've just been corrected. The law itself talks at most 2%. It uses that language.
Yeah, so you see, the law is
not 2%.
Yeah.
Which means you can put
1% is okay.
Even if you put 1%.
No, as a renowned economist, I do not think that is an argument you should accept from any of your students.
Chair, there was an issue of whether the county has a legal framework on the issue of handling of emergencies. Because why would you give subsidy, for example, this 49.3 million, if you have allocated and ensure you can still give subsidy as part of the emergency response would be. Finally, Chair, there is a question that you have asked. I thought Kitui, one of the biggest challenges is a drought high-risk area. So ordinarily, the county government will be keen to ensure that they give enough resources for the drought risk risk management, Chair, because, for example, if I come from a county that has a lot of rains, the more money tend to be fixing roads. So I thought Kitui, since Kitui is a normally high risk, they should have been able to factor at least 2% or even give 100 million. Then subsidies that they are giving to entities of water and many other water tracking and electricity bills should have been taken from that allocation. So my concern, Governor, is there a legal framework that guides your emergency situation within the county? Maybe the MCS will be able to clarify. And finally, on this 2%, even if it is 220 million, I think it's too little to give 20 million. Should be have even 1% of the entire allocation. And by the way, you have indicated, Chair, in his response, that there is support from the national government, from donor partners. So how much contribution, I know this is a concurrent function, how much contribution does these other actors contribute in terms of handling emergency, such as drought situation in Kitui? I yield back.
Okay, honorable members, we can allow the governor to respond so that we go to the other issues that have been cited in the report.
If I may just respond to the last one about what other partners contribute, it all depends on the situation. Because we meet, we make assessments, and the partners will make pledges depending on the situation. So you can't give a specific figure at a given time. So when, for example, the rains have failed and there is anger, assessment, technical assessment is made by the National Drought Management Authority and a report discussed, and partners, including the national government, put in money in the kitty. and we also participate. Yeah.
I think we leave this matter here. The people of Kitui now have an idea on how responsive the executive is to this matter. I personally don't feel very comfortable about the responsiveness, but you need to do something to give that assurance. Let's come back to the report of the Auditor General. The first issue there, and I think the only qualifying issue on the financial statement, is on unconfirmed trade and other payables. Auditor General, you can just read your finding, and then we get the Governor's response.
Thank you, Chair. This is the report of the Auditor General for the year ended 30 June 2025. Unconfirmed trade and other payables. The statement of financial position, and as disclosed in Note 32 to the financial statements, reflect trade and other payables opening balance as at 1st July 2024 of Kenya shillings 546,435,251, which differs with the prior year audited financial statements closing balance of Kenya shillings 835,868,265, resulting to unexplained variance of Kenya shillings 289,433,014. Further, the current year's payables balance of Kenya shillings 626,406,908 includes payables amounting to Kenya shillings 89,848,440, which have been outstanding for more than 2 years, with some dating back to the year 2015. Management has not put in place measures to settle the debts. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 626,406,908 could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Chair, let me ask the Accountant General to read the response you have given on page 5 of our report.
In response, Mr. Chair, we have said that the variance between the opening balance and the closing balance was as a result of review that we did on the opening balances of the pending bills, and some of them were not.
Is it possible to read verbatim first?
Yeah, just read verbatim.
Yeah, just read the response on page 5.
Okay. The current opening balance of 546,435,251 was arrived at after review of the closing balance of June 2024 of Kenya shillings 835,868,265, which included bills cleared by the Pending Bills Review Committee of 2022 and the Pending Bills Review and Advisory Team, but lacked some critical documentation necessary for payment, all which included amount of full LPO, while part of the contract had been settled before the June 2022. Other bills were incurred by the level 4 hospitals, but were reported to the Pending Bills Review Committee and included together with the bills payable by the county executive. Level 4 hospitals are reporting entities, and therefore their pending bills will be paid and reported by each hospital. Part 2, long outstanding payables of Kenya shillings 89 million. The amount of Kenya shillings 89,848,440 comprise of projects contracted between January 2024 and December, amounting 40 million, and the remaining amount of Kenya shillings 49 million for contracts entered into before August 2016 and December 2023. These are mainly pending bills cleared by the Pending Bill Review and Advisory Team. The bills will be prioritized for payment in the current financial year 2025-2026 and will be cleared on the basis of first in, first out. During the year under review, the the county executive total bill valued at Kenya shillings 546,435,251, comprising of 90 million recurrent and Kenya shillings 456 million development. We have attached the bills of the list of the bills that we are paid.
Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. Management has put an analysis of the 289 million, and then they've also broken down what has been paid and what has not been paid. So that is still work in progress.
Auditor, from an elementary perspective, the closing balance and opening balance, why should they be different for the same entity?
Chair, they were moving from cash basis to accrual basis. So they were looking at what they could support, and that is what they reflected in the financial statements.
So that explanation was not offered during the time of audit?
No.
National Treasury?
Chair, an opening balance must be there because they are the balances that were carried from the previous year. And it will form part of the closing balance at the closure of the year because still it has not been paid. So I am wondering, how will the county put that balance that they have said they've not yet analyzed? The circular from Treasury was saying that those pending bills, the payables, that we are calling them payables in the accrual basis, they should analyze, and those which they are sure of, they put them as opening balances. That is what the circular was saying. So if they've not put, I am imagining the closing balances then for this current year only, if they never had any opening balance.
Okay, now I think the accountants are beginning to confuse us. We knew that the balance you close at midnight should be the balance you open in the morning, at 6 in the morning. And that is what the auditor queried. You said that 546 differs with prior year audited financial statements. And I think it was on that principle that closing balance and opening balance were different, yet they ought to be the same. So, Auditor General, this 289 million that has been isolated, where does it go? Is it a write-off?
Chair, it's not a write-off. I totally agree with my colleague from Treasury. They were supposed to do an analysis of what they can support. And this was included in the statement of opening financial statement of financial position. And that is what we audited. But because they've not given us the nitty-gritties of what with this balance of 289 was for, that's why we had to query it. But what they've told us is that the 289 had not been supported. And that's why they are not bringing it forward as part of their payables.
So in your first paragraph, do you still have a problem with the entity, or you are convinced that they did the right thing?
We shall go back when you're doing the audit to look at the 289 that they've put aside.
So there's still some pending verification?
Yes.
Senator.
So Chair, what I'm getting from the explanation from the accountants, and it's true, they're beginning now to confuse us. So kind of what you are saying is that in this transition year, we shouldn't expect that the closing balance the previous year will be the same as the opening balance for the preceding year. Because you have given them a discretion to determine what payables are realistic and correct in their own analysis, and which one they can say we write off.
For the time we have been in these committees, we have realized that counties have complained of the pending bills. They are saying they cannot support them. And we didn't want to force them to the things that they cannot support them. But they must be very sure what they will put in the statements as opening balance. It is what will stand forever. The rest, we do not know how to take them because they are complaining they are not in their pending bills. That's where we want, because we could not tell them, put these in the pending bills, carry them to the current now accrual basis of accounting, and they cannot support them. That's why the auditor is saying they cannot support those pending bills. They have only the figure. And all circumstances, any entity that was a going concern, continuing, it must have an opening balance for its payables. It may not have the receivables because it may have been in cash basis. So they were paid in cash and finished.
Sorry, National Treasury. I think looking at the time and the length of time we have sat, and maybe just being considerate, we can take a 5-minute break, 10-minute break, just a 5-10-minute break, then we come back. Yeah, we just adjourn for, let's say 10 minutes, 10 minutes, yeah. We adjourn for 10 minutes.